Welcome back to the channel, everybody. 2023 is an awesome time to be a video game collector, and there's a specific console to me that jumps out, and that's the PS3, and there's a lot of things it has to offer, especially on the PlayStation Store.
Yes, and today we're going to dive into really expensive PlayStation 1 games that are really cheap on the PS3 Store. We did something similar to this when the Wii U eShop was closing. Yeah. We dove into all the virtual consoles, so we're going to do that today, the 10 most expensive PS1 games. This is not like, oh, you should play these games, these are just the most expensive to get physical.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to spend, I don't know, $300 on a CIB PS1 game, you could get it for $9.99. So that's basically the whole idea of this episode.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people maybe forget if they see a PlayStation 3, you know, at a garage sale, a thrift store, a pawn shop, that, oh, the online store's still open. Now, they did threaten to close it, so we don't know how much longer it's going to be open.
But there's no news or a date yet, so you do have time. We just thought, you know, now would be a great time to be like, oh, you can get these games for super cheap.
It is worth noting, you cannot add funds on the PS3 itself. Just a disclaimer, because for whatever reason, but you can do it through your PS4 account, PS5 account, probably on Sony's online store with like a card or whatever. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into some of these rippers on the PS3 online store. And it's also worth noting, these games are not on PlayStation Plus, even the premium version. You know, to stream.
Which is weird, so even more value. Let's start off with the first game, and that's Tomba. We're actually going to talk about Tomba and Tomba 2. What's weird about the PS3 store is there's not tiles. So in order to find the PS1 games, you have to type in PS1 and then scroll through the list. It's kind of tedious.
Yeah, but I mean, you see a game like this, it's pretty expensive, and these games range in different prices. There's some that are $5.99, some that are $9.99.
Yes.
Tomba checks in at $9.99. Tomba 2, however, is $5.99.
It's $5.99, which is wild. So on price charting for CIB, the original Tomba is $135 CIB, and Tomba 2 is $114.50 CIB. And we're starting at the bottom, guys. They're going to get more expensive.
Yeah, and you know, look around us. We're obviously physical media collectors. We're not advocates really for digital. But, you know, if we were wanting to figure out, do we want to spend the $135, $140 to get a copy of Tomba, this might be a good way to dip your toe in the water. Emulation aside, I know you can emulate PS1 very well, but just kind of mind-blowing, $9.99 still available on the shop, and it's not on the other console. So it's pretty cool.
It's wild. This is a great way to test out PS1 games. Like, say you skip that era or skip that console. For $5.99, $9.99, try out these games, because it's a lot of money to drop. Now let's move on to Mega Man Legends 2. I think there is a few Mega Man Legends games on the PS1 Classics option on the PS3 store, but Mega Man Legends 2, according to price charting, is $147.02 CIB.
Yeah.
But on the PS3 store, $9.99.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty badass.
It is also, I think, a value here. This isn't about the PlayStation Vita, but you can play a lot of these PS1 games on your Vita.
Yeah, which is really cool.
And you could have played these on your PSP, but it's no longer online. But the Vita and the PS3, so if you download it on your PS3, link your accounts, you can play them on your Vita as well.
Which is even more value, so you can play it portable. Now let's move on to the next game, and that's Xeno Gears.
Yeah.
This game is $150 CIB, and on the PS3 store, it's only $9.99.
Yep.
That's freaking insane. $10 compared to $150.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's going to be curious over time to see if these do get added to the PlayStation Plus as an option, right?
Yes.
Because I gotta think, because they have pulled some games due to licensing issues over the years from the PS3. So it makes me think the licensing's still good on these, or are they just trickling them out slowly?
It's really weird because, especially the next game we're going to talk about, there are a few dingers on this list that are like PS1 classics, like, for example, Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that isn't on PlayStation streaming or whatever. PlayStation Plus. It's weird. It's not on there right now. And that game is expensive.
I gotta think it's because they re-released it. In that Konami.
And they're trying to get that.
Yeah.
So CIB, though, for Symphony of the Night, which is one of my favorite Castlevania games, is freaking $151.60. But $10. I think $10 for Symphony of the Night, even though I'm a huge physical media fan, that's an insane deal. That's because it's one of the best games ever. Yeah,
and you know, we're talking about a lot of these games aren't on PlayStation Plus, but even let's say they were. I don't love being tied into a subscription-based model.
Exactly. You know, how much does it cost monthly?
And you know, I think there's a lot of bangers on this list, but I probably won't go buy all of them. I've bought a few of them, but this is, I feel like, a great way to play a game if you don't have a way to emulate them and try them out, and you don't want to be tied to that reoccurring monthly charge
Yeah, because you could get a monthly thing, and we've talked about this in a few other episodes, but like you could start off playing Symphony of the Night, but then you get distracted by something else, and it's a game you never finish because you have options to all these games.
Yeah.
Get it for $10, just freaking play it start to finish.
A classic here from Working Designs, I believe.
Yes.
And their covers back in the PS1 era. This is a rabbit hole, but Working Designs, their stuff looked so cool.
Dude, that light gun game they freaking put out, oh my god.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That game, that cover is so badass. But Alundra CIB, according to the price charting, is $155.63.
Yeah.
Oh, and what do we got here? $5.99.
Yeah, so this is one of the cheaper ones. Yeah,
I don't know why some of them are cheaper, but $6? Hell
yeah. That's a hell of a score. And then the next game I think is one that everybody needs to play. I hope we get a remake at some point. I was actually in the barber shop the other day, and our buddy that owns the shop was like, "Can you believe the price of Silent Hill?"
Yeah, it's wild.
And we were getting ready to film this video, and you gotta really look for this game, because if you search PS1 like you told them to do at the beginning of the video, you will not see Silent Hill in there.
Here's why the PS3 store is confusing, because Silent Hill is not listed as a PS1 Classic, even though when you find it, it does says purchase this PS1 Classic.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It's listed as a PS3/PSP game.
Even though it's not.
Yeah.
Silent Hill, though, incredible freaking game. This game is $200 CIB. It's going up in price, and it's only freaking $5.99.
Yep.
$6 for an amazing survival horror game. You just gotta search for it, but it is there.
This is one we've downloaded, which is why you don't see a price on the screen cap, but it is $5.99. So,
oh man, it's wild.
Yeah,
it's so weird to me that there's not like a virtual console or like tiles for the like.
Yeah, I thought there used to be, but now it's just kind of gotten weird. I think they've changed the formatting to try being a little more modern or more like the. I don't know. I don't know. It's goofy. But Vanguard Bandits is the next one on our list. We're back up to $9.99 for a game.
This is a game I don't know anything about, but it's $207.50 CIB, which is absolutely insane, and $10 on the freaking PS3 store.
Yep, this is one I've missed. I haven't played, but this is one that if you wanted to try it out, it's one of the more expensive.
Yeah, so if you are curious about this, I don't know anything about it, so I can't recommend. But $10 to try it out compared to $200. And what's wild is, you can get some of these games loose, but even loose, a lot of these games are crazy expensive. And I would not recommend getting PS1 games loose, just because they're discs. And
well, and the PS1 discs, I feel like, are super prone to scratching the black bottom
so easily. So you can get it digitally for $10.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to Suikoden 2. Hopefully I said that right. I
think you did.
I think it's pretty close. Suikoden 2. Don't know anything about this game either, but according to price charting, this game is $226 CIB.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And I'm excited because I've played the first one in this series, but I never played the second one.
Okay.
My brother was into it, so dabbled with it. I didn't beat it. He did, of course.
Dude, you can play it for freaking $10.
Yeah. So a great value for sure. I think a lot of these are just... And we're just pulling out the heavies, guys. Here in a little bit, you'll scroll, maybe you've been seeing on the screen cap. I mean, we got the Twisted Metals on here, all sorts of cool stuff, the Siphon Filter games, Tekken 2.
Yeah, the Spyro games.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of, like, PS1, they're all listed as classics, but there's a lot of classic games that you can get for, $5 to $10, which is absolutely insane.
Parasite Eve 1 and 2.
Oh, Parasite
Eve. They just weren't expensive enough to make the list, but just great games. Legend of Dragoon. I mean, there's
a lot when you scroll. Next one is Clonoa Door to the Phantom Mile. Don't know anything about this either, but it's $341 CIB. I do know that it's very expensive. And you can play it for $6.
Yeah.
Why is this one cheaper?
I played a different Clonoa game than this one, but this is an amazing price. And it's a game that I would never spend. Maybe I love it, and then I would, but I would never spend $341.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's wild. And now, the last game on this list for the most expensive PS1 game that's available on the PS3 is Persona 2. This game is pushing $400 CIB. It's $381.07.
Epic series.
And you can play it for $10.
I think, there's a lot of gamers right now that jumped in at Persona 4. And maybe didn't get back, the classic game on the Vita, and then Persona 5 is on damn near everything.
Persona 5 blew up.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of folks that are fans of the series that miss some of these early entries. It's a fantastic freaking game. $9.99 to be able to play it.
Yeah.
And if you don't care about having it physically, I mean, that's a steal.
This is a great way to test drive it and just not break the bank, especially with these, because they're so damn expensive. What's wild is if you were to buy all 10 or 11 of these games that we talked about, you would spend less than $100 if you bought them on the digital store. I know that's a lot, but if you were to buy all of them, But let's say you go out and you're going to get all these CIB. That's going to be over $2,000.
Yeah.
You know, so 100, 2,000.
Yeah, and
massive
I think,
difference. I know it's digital, physical, but man, get a few of these just to test drive and be like, do I want to spend $250? Maybe not.
I'm with you, and I think, you know, even if you went and got all these, which I don't know that anybody watching would, I don't have all of these digitally, but there are a few that I do. But $93 comparatively to having the residual monthly charge for PlayStation Plus, which all these games we cover today are not even on that. But point being, that's kind of a drop in the bucket and less than you would spend on an annual subscription. You've got well over a year's worth of gameplay here for sure.
A lot of fantastic games. It's so wild. Obviously, I prefer physical, but with some prices, I'm like, man, I really want to test it out digitally before I'd even think about dropping that kind of money, dude.
I think more and to the point of why we're showcasing this is just to highlight something that I think people maybe are kind of forgetting, that the PS3 store is still alive and well.
Yep.
It's so versatile, you know, especially if you get one of the first models that plays PS2 games. There is also PS2 games on the store, PS Vita games on the store, and we have other videos that we're going to come out and kind of do this similar showcase. But the value in owning a PS3 right now, I can't tell you how many times. I mean, there are two sitting, a Slim sitting at the pawn shop down the road from us for $60 with a controller, everything you need.
And dude, the games for the PS3, we talked about this before. It's an awesome time to collect for the games for the PS3. Yeah. So the store's still online, the games are cheap, the console's pretty cheap. It's a great time to get into the PS3.
You can play light guns on it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many.
It's awesome. Dude.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that if you're someone that was just looking for a console that's budget friendly, you don't want a room full of video games, just look at the options you have. In the comment section below, let us know the last time you've wandered around the PlayStation store on the PlayStation 3. What are some hits, rips, and great games that you picked up off of the store? If you did, maybe you didn't even know the PlayStation store was still online, but we're going to come back with some more videos on some PS2 bangers that are out there and some Vita bangers. That's going to be fun because we're just really getting into the Vita. So we appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. If you got a PS3, you may want to go sniff around the PS3 store because it's still alive and well. We'll catch you next time right here on the one and only Gaming Off the Grid.